4BC, here's Brisbane.
And on the major parties launching their election campaigns with 24 hours remaining and 24 days remaining, I should say, until the state poll, there's a lot of interest in what is happening on the official campaign trail. It's something that it won't disturb veteran independent Senator Pauline Hanson, all of the speculation and talk between the two major parties here. Today, Senator Hanson and One Nation's Keppel candidate James Ashby are going to join forces. They have joined forces in Brisbane to launch their campaign. I'm pleased to say that Senator Hanson joins us on the show now. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Nice to talk with you again. You're in town to promote your pledge to preference Labor and the Greens last. That's a big statement from yourself, and you're standing by that, obviously.
Standing by it firmly. It's not hard to determine that. Under Labor, it's just the state is in one hell of a mess. The huge debt of over $100 billion. You've got problems with the hospitals, with schools, with teaching, with housing, especially seeing so many people living in their cars in tents underneath the bridges here in Brisbane River. It's just horrendous what is happening throughout the state. The escalating crime. I've just come from Cairns up north and Mackay, especially in Cairns. It's been the worst city in the state for escalating youth crime, and it's not been addressed.
What sort of response are you getting from people, and is James getting from people? Because I get the impression there's a lot of people that are disenchanted with both the major parties and looking outside of those. So what sort of response are you getting, and will you be preferencing, if you're not going with the Greens, the LNP instead?
It is. I'm getting a huge response. People are just fed up with the major political parties. They want change. They know that, same old rhetoric that you get from major political parties. Definitely, my feeling is that Labor, they don't want Labor, definitely don't want Labor, but also they don't have much confidence in Chris Foley. They don't believe that he's going to deliver what needs to be done for Queensland. So people are very disgruntled about it. Especially, I said, the biggest issue is the escalating crime, cost of living, plus also the housing. Rural and regional Queensland feels completely forgotten. But also, I think that it's time for change. It really is. So if we're going to put the Greens last, people have to understand, I've worked with the Greens on the floor of Parliament. The Greens-Labor government federally is not working for the country. High immigration, that's a problem for the housing crisis that we have. This push for net zero, that's the next biggest problem. And a lot of people that I speak to, they actually are not happy with net zero and climate change policies that the governments, especially Labor, and Chris Foley wants to do the same, is pushing on to people, which is destroying industries, manufacturing, the costs are rising for electricity, businesses are closing down, small business are closing at a fast rate.
What do you see in terms of capturing the vote? One Nation's primary vote, I think, fell to 6.6% in 2020. Do you see a better outcome, given what we were just talking about in this upcoming state election for One Nation?
Yes, look, I do. And a lot of seats we polled a lot higher than that in most seats that we stood the candidates in. The thing is that COVID was a big driving factor. People have woken up to the damage that was done with the COVID-19 of the lies and how they were treated. People lost their jobs. Even now, teachers and nurses and people who had their livelihoods taken away from them because they were forced to or didn't want to have the COVID jab. So that's on a lot of people's minds. A lot of teachers, look, we've got to encourage these people to go back into the workforce. Teachers and nurses, the hospitals in rural and regional areas are understaffed. They can't open up the full bed capacity that they have, hospital ramping, a lot of issues that can be addressed if it's done in a common sense way. People are also, I've put out a cartoon to actually explain to people about how the voting system works. I hope they go to YouTube or to my Facebook page. It's informing people how the voting system works. When I ask people, do they understand the preference system and how the preferences work, they don't. There's lies being spread around that our preferences are going to go to the Labor or to the Liberal Party. Their preferences belongs to the public, no one else. You mark the ballot paper, you put your vote in order of your preference who will best represent you. And I think that needs to be taught in our educational system. I'm trying to empower people to make their vote count.
So would you be preferencing anyone? Where's your preferences go?
We're going to put out how to vote cards on recommendations that we think and we're going to look at the seats individually. But as I said, Greens will definitely be last on our how to vote cards, and Labor will be last as well. I think they've done damage to our state. It's time for a change. Where people put their preferences then with regards to LNP or the Katter Party, and we've tried to work closely with the Katter Party and other prominent independents that I think will be good for the state. So our seats, it's only our recommendation. I'll say to people again, you look at the candidates, you understand their policies, what they stand for, and it's about the people's vote. We can only recommend, as every political party can. So look where you cast your vote. But please, people, think seriously. The Greens are doing more damage to this country with their policies, high immigration, high refugees, the division that they're causing. They are not good for the state or for the nation.
It's certainly not working at federal level. You're 100% correct there. So do you see that Labor are going to try and do some cosy deals with their mates in the Greens, seeing they're so on the nose, as the polls suggest to us for a long time now here in Queensland?
Of course they will. They always do anyway, because they need the preferences from the Greens to get them over the line. That's why deals have been done. But Labor, that's people understand it. It's all about them and their jobs. They're not worrying about the people in this state. At least I look at legislation based on the best merit. I'm not saying that Labor doesn't possibly have a couple of good policies, but you'd look at every legislation based on its merit. So if anyone puts up legislation that I believe is right for the state, right for the people, we'll back that based on its merit, not just based on backing your mates and giving jobs to the boys that shouldn't be given to people. So, our stance is for what is best for the state. The people out there, they're hurting. They really are doing it tough. The cost of living, lost their jobs. We can turn it around. The escalating crime. People lose their, businesses and escalating cost in insurance as well. This is all due to government policies. The Miles government is not right for the state. They've got to be thrown out and a clear message sent to the people of these politicians. You can't keep abusing and taking the people for granted. So this is the people's chance on the 26th of October. Have your say, but use it wisely. And I'd say to people, give One Nation a go. Let us have that opportunity to represent you on the floor of Parliament. And if you don't accept what we put forward to you, then you've got your opportunity 4 years down the track, but at least give us a go.
How do you see it panning out? Do you see it going with the polls, or are there some sort of school of thoughts that I've heard that, they may not get enough to get over the line for a majority government, the LNP up here, and it may be the independents that garnish a fair few votes, and may have a say in things in terms of the leadership of the state.
It will. Look, I think the LNP will struggle, as I said, on the ground. People aren't happy with Chris Foley and the LNP. They feel the same old rhetoric. What it's done. He wanted to go with the treaty. He's wanted to go with the net zero. He wanted to go with no nuclear. He's not open-minded. He's a yes man. He's a moderate. What we have to have clear, decisive decisions that need to be made for the state and for the people. And the thing is that if we do get the balanced power, it will be used wisely. We have no intentions of being anyone's yes person. Like I said, every bit of legislation looked at on its merit, what's best for the state. There's no bleeding bloody hearts. It's all about what we need to do to ensure that people have a decent standard of living and a way of life. And sick of jobs for the boys and looking after your mates, or jobs for these politicians that are incompetent and shouldn't be there in the first place. So what I'm saying is, if you want true leadership, you want true decisions made on your best interests, then I think you should consider voting for One Nation at this next election.
How broadly are you running, Senator? Are you going to be running not only in regional areas? How many seats are you going to be running in?
Seats. We're running in every seat.
Wow, okay.
So, yes, we're taken this seriously, and my passion for the country and for the people hasn't stopped. And I can't be bought. My vote can't be bought. I actually am there for the right reasons. That's why I've stuck with it all these years. And I've got a great leader in James Ashby. And if you watched him and what he stands for, it's the same principle. We're fighting for the people out there, and that's why it's important to us. And we've got a lot of very, very good candidates that are coming from great backgrounds. Just think about the nurses, the doctors, the police, the ambulances, and these different ones. They're actually, have been hurt tremendously through COVID. No one's been made accountable for it. bureaucrats are not running the state. Put people in, politicians who can do the job for the people and make the right decisions, not run by the bureaucrats, all this red and green tape. They're shutting down industries, businesses, the fisheries, the farming sector. These people want some representation, and I intend to give it to them.
How prominent would you be in the campaign involving your candidates and James Ashby? I don't imagine we'll be seeing Anthony Albanese up here anytime soon. He's on the nose. Labor's on the nose. They're not even running their traditional colours and livery on a lot of their banners and flyers. Will you be prominent?
I am very prominent, actually. I've just come back from Mackay on the weekend. I was prior to that Cairns. I did 4 days in Cairns. I've been to Maryborough, Gympie. I've been, to the coast. I'm heading up to Serena and Mount Morgan, Rockhampton, Yeppoon, right across the whole state. I'm going to have a very busy next 2 weeks, and the response has been absolutely fantastic. People are fed up with the major political parties. They want change, and it's been a great response, but I don't take that for granted. And this is what I say to people, and that's why I put out this cartoon, to explain to people how the voting system works. I want to empower the people. I asked a room of 120 people. I said, how many of you know how the voting system works and preferences? And only 8 put up their hand. That tells me they've kept people dumbed down. They don't want people to know how the voting system works. I'm encouraging people, go and have a look at it. Make your vote count.
Well, you've certainly sound like you're motivated and ready to go. Before I let you go, can I ask you, do you have a response to obviously the attacks that have happened with Iran on Israel today, but more to these rallies that are planned, and I think it's been weak leadership from Anthony Albanese and not getting on top of the anti-Semitism, but these rallies that are planned in Sydney on Monday for 60, 70,000 people, and they're trying to shut them down because there's Hamas and Hezbollah flags now being shown. Your thoughts on all of that? Do you agree that they should be stopped?
I want Anthony Albanese to grow a backbone, and also these premiers of the states, because it's got to be stopped. That should not be happening in our country, and flying these flags of terrorist organisations. That's not the country that I grew up in, not the country that I actually want to hand on. It is unacceptable. It is disgusting what's happening over there. I feel for those people, the innocent people that have losing their lives because of this war. But it's all come from, again, the bureaucrats and people who actually think they can control and dictate, and they don't give a damn about the rest of the people. But here in Australia, don't bring your problems here. As I've always said, that is not our issue here. Your protesting is not going to do a damn thing for what's going to make a change over there. What it's only going to do is stir trouble in this country. And when I see the hatred that is shown towards Jewish people who are here as Australian citizens, it breaks my heart. Stop it now. Otherwise, you're going to have it carry on in future with anyone else who wants to protest on the streets of things that are happening in their country. I wouldn't allow it.
Couple of quick ones before we let you go. What's your message with One Nation running up here to the CFMEU and the unions that are costing the government and government-run projects, pushing them through the roof and pushing the cost way out of where they should be?
Well, it is, and that's what they've done for years and years. That's why we supported the ABCC when the government brought it in 2016-17, is that we had to put a stop to it. It's adding cost about 30%. I've seen businesses, and I've spoken to them individually, they've gone under unless they handed over a few $1,000s to CFMEU. They wouldn't allow them to deliver their concrete and went off. So they have no regard for anyone but themselves. It's all backing each other, mates and all the rest of it. Look at who's leading the political parties. Look who's the union backing, the leadership. Look at Wayne Swan now. He's head of the organisation. The whole thing is a bloody rot, the whole lot, right from the beginning, to do with superannuation funds they're using that money to fund the government who are bringing in these climate change projects and everything like that. It's a dirty scam that's going on, and people are the pawns in all this. And this, where the CFMEU, I've got nothing against unions, but when they get to a stage where they're actually running the country and running the government, I have a big problem with it.
Last one, question without notice here. It's a big issue with our listeners, I know, particularly after the Lions won the premiership. We've got the best team in the land here. I can't believe the lack of leadership and vision of both the major parties when it comes to getting Olympic and Paralympic infrastructure and a stadium plan in place for this city. Your thoughts?
That's it again. again, where's the proper consultation process going with it and the cost involved with this? Now, people are against Victoria Park, and is it the right place? What I'd like to see, the Olympics spread across the whole state. They can have sailing up in Mackay. If you spread the cost of the Olympics in the other parts of the state, you're going to, everyone will have an opportunity to benefit from having the Olympics. Everything doesn't have to be held in Brisbane or the Gold Coast. Let the rest of the state benefit from the Olympics if it's done properly.
Well, nice to talk with you, and I appreciate your time, Senator Hanson. Hopefully we'll get to chat again throughout the next couple of weeks.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me on.
Senator Pauline Hanson, One Nation, running in every seat, throwing the gauntlet down, means business, wants everyone to really consider their vote, have a look at your preferences. What did you think of what she had to say? She's a straight shooter, no doubt about that. Always has been, always will be, I think, and refreshing in many ways. Keen to hear your thoughts. I think it's great to have a chat and hear a little bit of, get a few truth bombs from Pauline Hanson. 133 882. Can she make an impact? Will One Nation get anyone's votes in this campaign after hearing Pauline's passion this morning? You can text as well, 0499 880 882. We're a tick away from 25 past 10 on 4BC Mornings with Bill McDonald.